Hello.
Hi.
I think I have the camera going now.
Woo-hoo.
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 We just thought we'd give you all a quick update as to what's going on. We've been working like crazy. We fear that we're not going to meet our deadline. We had a deadline at by the end of this week, having the project completely done. But towards the first of last week, I stepped wrong or something and boogered up my left ankle, so that kind of slowed me down a little bit. But anyway, it's healing. It's getting better. It's only about half as red now as it was, and we've got it bound up good and everything. So anyway, we're going to talk about what we've got done so far. You might notice we have lights. Yeah, we've got lights there and lights over there, light above the sink and everything. But let's start up here. Let me turn around and go up here first. And of course, I got the panel all buttoned up now. And as you can see here, this is the main line coming in right here, the big fat one. This green wire that you see right here is a ground that is connected to the ground bar inside the panel, and it goes all the way down, and it is attached to the frame of the trailer. So we've got it grounded for safety because of that. Now, in addition to that, you see this plug-in right here. It is temporarily mounted there. It eventually will go in the cabinet here where the vanity is going to be, and it will have a GFCI plug in it when we do that. So it will eventually get a GFCI plug in there because we want that circuit to be protected. This GFCI circuit here will also feed that plug in right down there, and then there's a plug in right down there, and that is where our little subwoofer is going to plug into. And then outside there is an outside plug, and those 4 plug-ins is what's going to be connected all to that GFCI circuit. Now you might notice here, this is the beginning of the nerve center for our 12-volt system. I'm still waiting on another meter to come in, but we've got it all hooked up and everything is running properly. Well, what we have hooked up so far. We still have one more circuit to run, which will be for the lights that will go above the vanity here. The project we're going to be starting here probably by this afternoon. We'll be figuring out how we want to build the cabinets here in the front is what we're going to do there. So until we get those cabinets all built and everything, we don't know exactly where we want to mount the LED lights up here, but they will be on their own circuit here. This red and black wire that you see coming along here and going over here is number 10 stranded, and it feeds, and now here again, let me stress this is temporary. I just want to make sure my fan worked, okay? This is temporary right here, but this is number 10 copper stranded wire, and it is connected to the max fan, and as you can see, the max fan works, and that just tickles me to death. I forgot to open that thing. Neat thing about a max fan is you can run it even with the lid closed. So anyway, it's going. We'll go ahead and kick it off now. So we got that going there. We got all of our lights going here, and let me step on over here. And, oh, one more thing I want to point out. This might be good for y'all to know this. We had this great idea to get these type of fans to mount just below this shelf right here, which is at the foot of the bed. And the whole idea was was for these fans to give us a breeze in the evening, because this will be the headboard right over here. And anyway, we're probably not going to do this. We'll show you why. Those things are entirely too noisy. That's all there is to it. So keep that in the back of your mind, folks, if you think you might want to do something like that. That's just too noisy. I don't think I want.
Or if you want them, we'll sell them cheap.
Yeah, if someone wants them, we'll sell them cheap. But anyway, we're going to come up with something else to put there, because we're not too tickled with how that come out. I don't know, maybe it'll grow on us, but right now we're not too excited. They do put out a lot of air, though. I do have to say that they do put out a lot of air. Now, one thing I want to point out before we move. Oh, let me show you this though. We've each have our own USB charging ports, and my particular charging port also has a voltage meter on it, so we can kind of keep track of the voltage that's being put out. And Deb has her charging port right over there, so she can charge hers. And both of these are fast chargers. And they're fed also. Well, this one here is not fed with number 10 wire because it's right next to the fuse panel. But this one over here, because we had to run a circuit over there to it, it's fed with number 12 wire on it, number 12 stranded on it. So anyway, we've got that going. And we've got all these lights going. Now, we did not put a separate switch. We're just going to use the switches on the lights themselves right here. The switches that you see here, of course, this one was to run those fans. What was this one for?
Water pump.
This one is for the water pump, which I still have yet to hook it up. The wires ran for it and everything, but I just haven't hooked it up. And this one here is going to be for the lights that go to the circuit here where the vanity is going to be up here. So if we get up in the middle of the night and I want to be able to see to go to the restroom, and of course the potty will be right in this area right here, and we'll talk about that in another video. I'll be able to throw that switch right there and we'll be able to see to get over there to that. Now let me step on over here and show you what we got here. Right here you see two outlets right here. Both of these are GFCI protected. Both of them are GFCIs, and they are each on their own individual circuit completely. They're only on, this is on one circuit all by itself, this is on one circuit all by itself. And the main reason why we did that is just in case we want to run a griddle and a toaster oven at the same time, provided that we are hooked up to true 50 amp service at a campground. If we're hooked up to a 30 amp service, we wouldn't be able to run both of those and air conditioner and hot water tank and all that at the same time. It just wouldn't happen. We'd have to pick and choose what we was going to run. But when we're hooked up to a true 50 amp service, a campground 50 amp service, we'd be able to run maybe a toaster oven and a griddle and whatever right there. And then of course you can see the lights that we have under here. You can see the light that we have under here. The sink is ready to be mounted. The faucet is ready to be mounted, and then I've got to run my drain down, and we'll talk about that in another video down the road a little bit, because we're going to be using the HEPVO HEPVO P-trap system, and actually is a system to replace the P-trap, and it takes up a whole lot less room. We're going to be running a separate one at the sink and a separate one at the shower. Now you also see another plug-in right there. That is for where we can plug in the coffee pot and so on. Now it is fed on the exact same circuit as that plug-in right over there. Now that plug-in right there is a GFCI plug, and it's at the beginning of the chain, which means that this plug is also protected by a GFCI circuit, as well as the plug-in back here where the refrigerator will plug in. All three of these receptacles are protected by a GFCI circuit. And the neat thing about that particular GFCI plug there, if for some reason it trips, it automatically sounds an alarm. So not only will we know that we've got an issue, we'll also know at the same time that we don't have power to the fridge. So we thought that was a good idea to use that. And they weren't that much. They were like $2 more. Wasn't that big of a deal. Little things I want to point out that we're incorporating. On my side of the bed here, I've got a little cubby hole to lay my phone in and stuff like that. I'm also going to be building a slide mount so I can slide in my tablet just above that, and we'll talk about that in a later video. And we're also going to have an HDMI cable that comes up there that I can plug into my tablet. My tablet has an HDMI output on it. What we do for our favorite programs is, and we do it now because we're learning how to do it, but it works so slick. The tablet that I have has an HDMI output on it, and I'm able to go into our Netflix account or our Amazon Prime account and download our favorite shows on there, and then we can play them back at our leisure. And because it has an HDMI output on it, we'll be able to set the tablet up just above the my little cubby hole right there, and then it'll eventually end up here at the TV. So we'll be able to watch our favorite programming, and we'll talk about that more in another video down the road a little bit too, how we do that. The tablet is not expensive at all. It's only like 110 bucks. That's it. But we're able to download. We can go to Starbucks, and in 45 minutes of sipping on some coffee, we can download almost an entire month's worth of programming. So we don't watch regular TV. Whenever we're in a motel or hotel somewhere and watching regular TV, the commercials just drive us up a wall. So, but we also have a setup where we'll be able to hook up an OmniGo antenna, so we can keep up with weather and things like that while we're out traveling, in case we need to know what's going on from a local television station. And we will have an outdoor television cable hookup to do that with, and we'll talk about that later. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at right now. Deb's been really pushing me this last week and a few days, haven't you?
Yeah, because I had plans for the winter.
Well, the plans are still there. We're gonna be okay.
You didn't talk about your tower.
Oh yeah, let me talk about my tower. Let me get back over there and talk about the tower. We kind of brushed across it, but we didn't do anything else. Deb found these really neat tubs on Amazon right here, and so what we came up with in order to coordinate with storage, in addition to hide the wiring behind it, plus also have a spot for our nerve center for the 12-volt system, is we built this tower so that these will fit inside this tower. I still have to run another 1x right here to keep these from sliding out the side, but we've got a lip here on the front that's 3/4 of an inch tall that'll keep them coming out the front. Now, so everywhere where you see an opening here will be one of those tubs, and then we have a small subwoofer that's going to fit down here in this very bottom spot right down there that goes with the sound bar for our TV. Now, all these wires that you see running along here, some of you might be wondering what we're going to do to cover those. Well, we will have more shelves running along this area here, and there'll be a false panel behind there that covers those wires. But if I ever need to get to any of the wires for any reason, all I got to do is pop the false panel off, and I'll have access to all of these wires here. But all the other wires will be hidden. I will be making like a small cover door for the nerve center for the 12-volt system right here. So these are the plans that we have, and it just takes time to figure all this stuff out to get it just the way we want it. The whole idea behind all this was we wanted to have all of the wiring easily accessible. So this is why we did what we did. Now, one thing that I discovered after fighting and fighting and fighting, first when I started hanging, now these are the 120-volt lines here, and this is 3-wire. This is number 12 3-wire stranded copper in all of these right here. And I use these little straps here to support each wire. And then I discovered later, do we have any of those zip ties around? A different type of zip tie that had a mounting tab on it. Deb's going to get one. And I wish I would have known about those earlier, because they were just so much easier to use. Plus, I could have used multiple wires. And I imagine a lot of you are familiar with these. But if you'll notice on this zip tie, you go ahead and use it like a normal zip tie and slide it through this little slot right here. But then you have this mounting spot here where you run a screw through. And you can go ahead and hang these and just make the loop really large. Go ahead and screw them up on the wall wherever you want to run wires. Run your wires through the loop, and then after you get the wires ran you want, then you just grab a hold of the zip tie and zip it tighter, and then cut off the excess. So Home Depot has these, and they're really, really cool. And man, I wish I would have discovered these when we first started slinging wire in this trailer, that's for sure. It sure made things go a whole lot easier right there. All right, well, I think we've talked about most everything. Keep in mind that the air conditioner will eventually go back there where that vent is right there. There is a line ran for the air conditioner, but of course, and we have the breaker in the panel, but the breaker is off. The breaker is off, and we will be covering up the end of that wire. And there will be a small causeway or a small cornice that will be coming down to cover those wires there, but also I'll have easy access to those wires along there. The hot water tank is not hooked up yet, of course, and this is the wire that comes down for the hot water tank right here. and the breaker is off on that. Don't worry about the breaker being on. So anyway, and this is our little washing machine, and we're going to figure out a way to incorporate it into the cabinetry over here, but have it set up in such a way so we can pull it out, slide it over here next to the shower. This is why I mounted this particular water faucet right here. Excuse me. This is why I mounted this particular water faucet right here, so we'd be able to hook up the washing machine. And that's really what that plug-in for there is for, right down there. That is to be able to plug in the washing machine right there. And then of course we'll be able to drain into the shower. So this is where we are. I meant for this to be a quick update, and it's turned out a little bit longer than I anticipated, like always. Right?
Right.
That's right, always. You're not real talkative today.
No, I'm working,
We're working.
thinking.
You're thinking. She's thinking about all the stuff she's going to make me do today.
That's right.
That's what she's thinking. We're getting ready to go down to Lowe's and grab some plywood and stuff. And also the van goes to the shop today to get new airbags for the to make it handle more weight on the rear, and it's getting new shocks. And what happened to you about 3 weeks ago?
I got rear-ended, and it probably totaled their car, and
Yeah.
what it did to my van was bent the bumper. So
Yeah.
we're getting a new bumper.
So we're getting a new bumper. Yeah. She was sitting in a line of cars waiting for the stoplight to change, and some youngster just ran right into the back of her, wasn't paying attention. And so anyway, we're getting a new bumper and airbags and stuff. The other damage was minor. Their car had to be towed off. Probably did over $10,000 worth of damage to their car. It was a Nissan Altima. But like I said, it just bent up the bumper some on ours. So we're getting a new bumper today.
We're getting a new bumper.
Well, yeah, we're getting that started today. Anyway, we're going to sign off for now. This is Bill and Deb with I Ride Tiny House Adventures saying we'll see you again here in a few days. Say goodbye, dear.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.